I'm going to speak to you in a topic I titled My Health, My Priority. My Health, My what? Priority. This is actually a title of one of my books. I should have come with a book, but it skipped my memory. It's a title of one of my book, and that book was subtitled "What Most Doctors Wouldn't Tell You." Most doctors wouldn't tell you that, not necessarily because they may not know it, but because they wouldn't have all the time in the world to say that. Do you understand that? So I want to emphasize on the point that your health is a priority to you. Can I tell you that God is not even the one responsible to be keeping you healthy? Hello? You may not agree with this one because you are religious people. 3 John verse 2, the Bible said, I wish above all things that you do what? Prosper and be in good health. That's a wish of God. But to make it happen is you. You are not following me. Hello? To make it happen is who? Is you. Mark chapter 5, verse 43. The Bible said when Jesus raised the daughter of Jairus from the dead, the first commandment Jesus gave to the people is give him something to eat. Are you getting it? Jesus knew that this person may have been raised from the dead supernaturally, but if that life is going to be sustained, you need to make a contribution to it. You are not following me. So, for somebody to be healthy, it is a responsibility of the individual to keep your body healthy. It is a responsibility of God to give you life. It is your own responsibility to sustain the life. You are not following me. That is the same way it is also the responsibility of God to make provision for you. If you don't get money in this life, it's not in the business of God because it's your own responsibility. But that's not where we're going for today. So I want to tell us that, and that is even in book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. Bible said that when God created the world, one of the first commandments that God gave to man was to feed. He said, I have provided the green leaves, I have provided the plants, herbs, and all the fruit-bearing plants for your food, and the animals for your meat. Do you understand? I am thinking as God, as a spiritual being, having created a human being in his image, would have given him instruction: read your Bible, obey me, pray always. No, those things are important. But God knows if Bible is going to be read, if you're going to keep his commandment, you first of all stay alive. Is that not? You first of all stay alive. And for you to stay alive, you need to feed yourself, you need to stay healthy, and you need to maintain life. So my topic is what? My health, my priority. And I want to tell us that whatever is going to be the outcome of our life, is we have the sole responsibility to make it happen. Now, before I move on, let me define health first of all. According to World Health Organization, health is defined as a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. A complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely absence of disease or infirmity. Now, what does it mean? It implies that as a human being, for you to say that I'm healthy, you need to be mentally okay, you need to be physically fit, and of course, you need to be socially in order. Do you understand? So that is to say, from that definition, I can bet you that most of us are not healthy. Because if you are physically and mentally okay, maybe your pockets is not healthy. Do you understand? There, there need to be economical factor when you say you are healthy. That is to say, money plays a role in health. Does it make sense to you? I was in a seminar in Abuja last year. The facilitator said one man, a very wealthy man, a personal doctor actually, the doctor a check here BP discovered that the blood pressure keep on rising uncontrollably on a daily basis. So, and how health looks like. One thing he discovered about your health can trigger fear in you, and the thing may be worsening. Most things that kill people are not disease, is actually ignorance. So, but this man, mgbe ọ fụ na BP ya ekwere agbada, ọdụmela onwe ya travel obodo Igbo, jee go moto 25 million wee bata. Cruise around, they happy. check your BP, I want a BP about it. Who says money no good? Praise God. So sometimes economic factor is a factor to consider in health, but that's not where we are going for today. We want to specifically talk about things that will make us to be healthy. Are we together? Now, I want to make a little illustration on this health. Now, between this pillar and this pillar is a health line. I'm a kind of standing in between that pillar. Are you following? Now, this is 100% healthy. This is 0% healthy. That is sickness. Do you understand? Now, and I am in between. Are you listening to me? I'm standing in between the two. That is to say, anybody in this position is not healthy and is not sick. This is the position where most of us are. Do you understand? You are not sick. You are not in hospital. You understand? And of course, when you check your health, you are not also 100% in order. At this point, you won't feel any headache. At this center, you won't feel any fever. You won't feel anything that's any symptom of disease. But actually, you are in between healthy and what? Sickness. That's why I've noticed that Nigerians don't go to hospital. We are carried to the hospital. Hello? Is that correct? How many of you in the last 1 year have decided today, only if let me go to test. I have 20K. Let me just use and run tests for my body. Nothing is happening to me. You've done that in the last 1 year. Can I see your hand up? Is it to wait? Yes, sometimes even if it's not because of money, right? But may I bet you that now if you fall sick today, money will come out. Is that correct? If you fall sick, money will come out. That money is as not the law. Will squeeze itself out. It will let a hospital bill. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. It's just like somebody who is driving his car. You bought a car, you are enjoying the cruise, and you don't care to change oil. You don't care to check the brake. You don't care to know whether the brake pad have eaten or not. You don't care to check if the ATF is working. The fluid is working very well. You just get up every morning and drive your car. Do you know what happened? One day, you won't be able to get to your destination. That is if you're ever going to get to that destination alive. Is that correct? So our body is like a vehicle that carries us to different stages, different places in life. And we ought to take good care of it. Are we together? And if you fail to take good care of it, I am telling you, it's a matter of time, your body will stop you halfway. You cannot achieve God's vision. You cannot fulfill God's people for your life if you are not healthy. So the first thing that you should take care of is your health. Am I speaking to you? So I'm going to be telling you maybe about 5 points, 5 things that we need to do to actually move from this point to this point. Because the illustration is this. If I am in this point, I am, engaging in some kind of lifestyle that are healthy. I am pushing myself to this point. Are you with me? Now, if I'm go close to the 100% healthy, now if there is a natural catastrophe, maybe there is something that happened that affected every other person. But here I get hit him to this point. Are you getting me? Now, at this point, I will still not feel headache. I will still not feel every symptom because I'm still in a healthy line. You understand? But if I remain here and say, after all, I don't have headache, you feel that you are okay and you are going about your business. If that thing hits you, it's going to push you here to this place and you fall sick immediately. Are we together? So it is better I make effort to push myself to this healthy line where I can stay healthy for a long time. So that even if I encounter disease, infection, or any other thing, my immunity will be able to fight it. And even if they're succeeding in affecting me, they can only push me down to the borderline. Am I speaking to you? So I want to teach you about 5 things that we ought to do to actually push our life into a healthy path. Are we together? We want to look at 5 things that will help us to push our life into a healthy path. Number 1 thing that you need to do is to know your health status. What do I say? Know your health status. Knowledge of your health status. Mmadụ amansikwa na ya pass the exam without sitting for one. Is that correct? Onye na-elele exam ọ na-pass exam. So it is only when you engage in what? Examination that you can boldly say, I passed the examination. Is that correct? So what is then simply means that if you do not go to laboratory tests, you won't be able to know whether you are healthy or not. So the first thing that you need to do is to check what is your health status. Are we are we together? So the first thing that one needs to do is actually to assess your health status so that you'll be able to know how healthy you are and see how you can help yourself. And what are the things that we need to do in order to know our health status? We need to check, go for laboratory tests. Do you understand me? And even if you are not going to do a comprehensive or more elaborate tests, and with a few tests that are quite vital that we should do, they are young people, so that we don't endanger ourselves for future problem. Okay, uh, one of them is blood pressure tests. Some of us feel that blood pressure is something for the aged individual. Gone are days when high BP is a disease of ndoke. It's no longer. We have what we call juvenile high blood pressure this time around, where even children and kids suffer from high blood pressure. And it doesn't take much to do this. Are we together? I think the highest is 15 or 100 naira from medical centers or patent medicine shops. You can check it and see whether you have high blood pressure or you do not have, okay? Or whether you are at risk of getting one. Do you understand? You don't just need to assume. A normal blood pressure ranges between 110 to 120 millimeter mercury for the systole. Actually, we have two values. We call one systolic blood pressure and we call the other one diastolic blood pressure. The systole is the higher range, the highest range that your heart can beat. You understand? Because when the heart beats, it generates high and low pressure, which we call what? Systole and diastole. Do you understand me? Good. So for a young person, you are supposed to have between 110 to 120 millimeter mercury, and the diastole is supposed to be between 70 to 80 millimeter mercury. Do you understand? So if you have anything above that, it may signify that your blood pressure is not in order. Do you understand? And then it may not necessarily lead you to taking blood pressure drug, because I will always advise, please do not start blood pressure, even if you are aged person. You don't start blood pressure drug in a hurry. Do you understand? You could just have to change like your lifestyle, and the thing will still come to normal. Do you understand? Because there are a number of things that can increase our blood pressure, including stress. Are you following? Stress, fatty food, too much of fatty consumption, all right, alcohol intake also increases our blood pressure. Too much caffeine consumption. Caffeine, of course, can be obtained. Caffeine is a chemical that are found in something like cola nut, and it's also in something like drugs also. Okay, some drugs, especially analgesics or headache drugs, something like a Panadol Extra, Bosca, Sodress, and the rest of them all have caffeine. Do you understand? So when you are constantly taking this drug, you are likely going to have much of caffeine in your system, and too much caffeine increases blood pressure. Am I speaking to you? So if you are, it may lead you to avoiding some of the things. Do you understand it? And so that it can come to normal. So it must not necessarily it signify that you are going to take drug. Do you understand? So, but it is only when you look at you check your blood pressure that you'll be able to know whether you have it or not. And that thing test you also need to do under knowing your health status is actually to check for blood sugar. Blood sugar. They normally, the sugar in our blood is not necessarily because we eat sugar. And I need to correct this myth. All right, myth, that is myth. That is a belief, common belief that people feel they are true, but that they are actually not true. You understand? That's what we call myth. One of the myths about blood sugar is that when you eat too much sugar, you have blood sugar. Abi, it is actually not true. It's actually not true. The only thing is that if you already have high blood sugar, you should minimize the intake of sugar generating substance, not necessarily the processed sugar, because in most cases we point at the processed sugar in sienna, akam, and the rest of them. But any starchy food will give you sugar at the end of each digestion. Are we together? So call it gare, call it apple, rice, and all of that. The end product of the digestion is simple sugar, which is either glucose, fructose, or galactose. Do you understand? So these are simple sugar that our body makes after digestion of those food. So if you constantly take these things and your body's mechanism that regulates blood sugar does not work constantly, your blood sugar level will increase. Do you understand? The body mechanism that actually regulates blood sugar is what we call insulin. All right. The insulin in our body is actually produced, a hormone that is produced by the pancreas in the liver. Now, when your pancreas is not producing enough insulin, the sugar you eat will not have nothing that will process it in your system, because the work of the insulin and glucagon is to regulate the inflow, high flow, and and low flow of sugar in the blood. When the sugar is lower, the glycogen will have to reconvert the already stored uh, um, glucagon rather. Glucagon will will convert already stored glycogen into glucose that will empower your metabolism. Then when the thing is high, insulin will have to reduce it. Do you understand? So that you can micturate, you can urinate, so that excess sugar, by the time you are urinating, excess sugar is going out and your blood sugar will come to normal. Do you understand? So, but when the insulin is not at work or not working very effectively in your system, your blood sugar increases. So what increases the blood sugar is a problem with insulin and not necessarily what we consume. That is not to say that we shouldn't check out for what we consume. Excess of everything they said is bad. Am I still talking to you? Are we following? Are we following? So excess of everything they say is bad. So we also need to regulate the amount of things that we consume. However, not consumption of sugar that actually give you what do you call it, diabetes. Okay, high blood sugar may lead to diabetes. Okay, there are different types of diabetes, but let's not go there. But when you check your blood sugar level, you'll be able to know your blood sugar levels should range between 80 to 100 milligram per dl. That's the units. 80 to 100 milligram per dl. That should be your blood sugar. 75 might still be normal. So, but anything that is below 70, it is low blood sugar. And anything that is above 110 is borderline high blood sugar level. Do you understand me? So we need to keep it in check. That just is. Another test we also need to do, in the line of checking our health status, is actually to engage in to go for what do you call it, culture tests. All right, culture tests, or what the medical laboratory scientists call microscopy, is a type of test that checks the habitation of microorganisms in your body. You understand? So from culture tests, you'll be able to know whether you have infection or you do not have infection. I can tell you that most people, Christians actually, who maybe at older age when they want to give birth and they were unable to give birth, is as a result of untreated infection for over time. Do you understand? Due to the fact that they feel I'm Christian, I don't live a promiscuous life, I don't have boyfriend, I don't have quick and the rest of them, then I will not have infection. Who told you? Can I tell you there are 1001 ways to get infection? Do you understand me? So it's not about through only sexual intercourse that you can be infected. All right? Microorganisms live all around us, everywhere around us. All right? In your room, in your cooking utensils, even the knife iji wee bee ụgwụ na otu debe ya wee pụọ apụ, ma efere iji wee ṅụọ tii debe ya wee pụọ apụ, you come back. That's why it's it is not really healthy to use some of these cooking utensils without washing and rinsing them with clean water before using them. Because by the time you go out of the house fly and cockroach wouldn't take your permission before they perch on them. Is that correct? And when they perch on them, they deposit microorganisms that are going to be harmful to you. You can get infected through this. You can spray your undies and one useless housefly is coming from a toilet in mud and perch on it, and you wear it, become infected. Do you understand? Not to talk of unhygienic toiletries, okay, or other several other means. Is that clear? You could shake somebody's hand and the person is coming from toilet and it's not kept, person be trying to get it in naka, and you may not be careful enough. You can now bother and you up a biscuit, you will let you know you are washing down the whole thing into your system, and that could result to your health problem. Have time to check whether you have infection or not, because certain infection can be so detrimental that they can prevent you from giving birth to a child in the future. Do you understand? And the may natural and the American family deliverance, but actually you are the one who is holding yourself captive. Do you understand? Can I tell you that most things we pray for are things that God has provided for? Do you understand me? And when we follow principles of life, we pray less. When we follow life principle, our prayers will be few. Our prayers will be more of thanksgiving. Thank you, O Lord, for giving me health. Thank you, O God, for giving me children. Thank you for and all of that. So life is governed by principle, and if you fail to obey those principles, life will bounce back at you, because it doesn't matter whether you believe on it or you don't believe on it, it will still bounce back at you. Please do not deny yourself of this information. That is the point I am raising. Are we together? So, culture test is one of them that is necessary for you to do. You understand? You'll be able to know whether you have certain infection that could be detrimental to your health. If not now, in the future. Treat it and hands off. You understand me? Treat it and hands off. Don't make blind treatments and you begin to take antibiotic without knowing whether that antibiotic is actually meant for that, because some of us are good at that. Because now I'm an antibiotic in a wound infection, then every day you need to go and pick loss now and feel only the smart. It's not really smartness. You could also kill good things in your body by so doing, because the word antibiotic means the word bio, bio, is life. Is that clear? So antibiotic is something, an agent that fights against life. Do you understand me? So at the same time it's fighting infection, it's also fighting your blood cells. It's fighting the microorganism in your body. It's fighting the normal body flora in your system that should keep you healthy, and so on and so forth. So you could endanger your body by indiscriminate intake of antibiotic. So that's why it is good, before you take one, check and see if you have need for one. And also, benefit of culture test is that when you do culture test, the laboratory scientist is going to do what we call sensitivity test too. Ọgwụ na-alụ ọlụ depending on body system ndị mmadụ. Do you understand me? Enwere ike sef ọgwụ ya alụ gị ọlụ na-alụ ọbụla ọgwụ 500 nke 2005 ama alụ gị ọlụ. Do you understand? It's not about the price. Do you understand me? So the sensitivity test will say that it is actually ampicillin that has high sensitivity in your body, not ciprofloxacin that are costlier. Do you understand me? So that you can measure on the one that are sensitive in your body. But if you don't know your health status, you won't be able to address this. Are we following? Then you also need to check your blood group and your blood genotype. What do I say? Check also your blood group and your what? Genotype. Blood group and blood genotype. Usually what people are keen about knowing, especially when it comes to relationship, is their genotype. Are you A or AS? Because the campaign have been ongoing. If you are SS and OS, you should not marry AS. And people just want to be sure they won't get sickle cell. But it's not, that's good thing to do, but it's not only about that. Do you understand me? It's not only about the sickle cell anemia. When you check your blood group, especially, there is another factor. Like in blood group, there's what we call rhesus factor. Hello? Rhesus factor is a protein on the surface of red blood cell. If that protein is present in your blood cell, you are said to be rhesus positive. If it is not present, you are said to be rhesus negative. It is only when you go to test you'll be able to know the. Let me tell you the implication of that. If you are rhesus negative and you are a female, you can only marry a man that is rhesus negative. A lot of persons don't consider this. Your genotype can be okay, it can be AAA, it can be AA and AS, and you know that can marry. But when you come to blood group, you also need to check whether the rhesus factor is okay. A woman who is rhesus negative needs what we call genetic counseling before you can marry a rhesus positive man. You understand? The genetic counseling is because you may give birth to only one child in the time of that marriage. No matter how much you pray. Yes, I know God has authority over everything. But God has provided the principle that we need to follow. Do you understand? That your body, that's the rhesus factor you are talking about. It was actually God who created it to be there. Is that not so? So, and he intended that you should also learn about this and take care as much as you can. Are we following? So, a woman who is rhesus negative is ought not to marry a man who is rhesus positive. All right? Because when you do, you can only give birth to one child. What happens is that at the first child, because the blood group of a baby is majorly made of that of the father. Do you understand me? So while you are carrying that baby in the womb, the blood is also positive, which is inherited from the father. Do you understand? So during the gestation period, the period of pregnancy, there wouldn't be any problem. But because the blood of the fetus and that of the mother doesn't mix together during gestation period, but they are going to mix at childbirth. Do you understand? So by the time you are delivering that baby, the blood of the baby and that of the mother will mix together. And the body of the mother who is rhesus negative will identify the rhesus negative blood from the baby. And the body will go back, just like when we get infection, our body immune system goes back to produce what we call antibody. So, yes, antibody that will fight against the antigen. Do you understand it? So the body of the mother will go back and produce a chemical that is fighting against rhesus positive. Do you understand? This thing is autoimmune response. This is what our immune system does. It doesn't take your permission, whether you are praying or you don't pray. It doesn't control that. Okay. Now, when the body of the mother have made antitoxin against rhesus negative, in the next pregnancy, as the pregnancy is trying to implant itself in the fetus, in the uterus rather. Okay, the antibody produced against the positive will now dictate that fetus, that embryo that is about to develop as an antigen, external body that want to fight the body. They will dictate it as that, and the already produced chemical or poison will now drive it out. The woman will have miscarriage. Do you understand? And this thing will continue to happen. Of course, you know, it is a very difficult task to remove your blood and put another one. You understand? It is not impossible anyway. It happened, but it's extremely costly. And you will have to be doing that at regular interval. You understand? There's a drug that you also need to subject yourself into to compromise your blood. But that's expensive something to do. So that's why such a woman needs genetic counseling before marriage. I don't know if you're following me. So one who doesn't know his blood group and blood genotype and rhesus factor wouldn't take care of these things. So it is when you know it and you are playing around that God gives you a life partner, and the person comes, you also demand for the person's test result also. Do you understand? So that you don't got. Recently, there's a brother from my church who, in fact, they were on the verge of doing interview. They have started preparing for their marriage when they discover that their blood is not compatible. Do you understand? And you know it can be too devastating. A relationship that you have built for a long time, and now it is the point you want to go for interview so that you can wed, and they said you are not going to marry. That can be quite devastating. You understand? So ignorance is a very dangerous disease. Please fight it in your life. Are we together? You also need to do HIV tests, okay? HIV test. I don't need to tell you what HIV is. It's one of those deadly viral disease that doesn't have cure in my time. It can only be managed. Do you understand? So check your status and ensure you protect your body against it. Are we together? So check as much as you can. Check, you can check for hepatitis, you can check for diabetes. Okay, I mentioned diabetes, ulcer, and so many of them. And more especially for females, please check your hormonal profile. Not only female anyway, but why I'm saying female is that female have more hormones that has to do with reproduction than male do. You understand? So you need to check what we call hormonal profile test. All right, that will tell you what are a number of hormones in your body. Enough, the one that are not being produced in your body, then you can seek medical attention. You can seek a counseling from a gynecologist, so a doctor who can advise you better. Do you understand me? So, but if you don't find out these things early, certain hormone can prevent you from giving birth. Some of them are responsible for your ovulation. And of course, you know that a woman who is not ovulating may not give birth to a child. In fact, you can't get pregnant. Do you understand me? So that we don't keep on praying that God will break a curse, whereas we are the one that caused ourselves. So the first thing you need to do in order to move from this point of borderline to the healthy path is what? Knowing your health status. That is all I have just explained.